Hello everyone, and this is my review for Monday Night Raw on October 6, 2014, and, once again, just an overall bad Raw. It was just not very entertaining at all, with the exception of a couple areas, and then a few other couple gripes. Probably the biggest down point of the show was the Hornswoggle or the Gator versus Little El Torito match. The crowd was pretty much right to say that was just plain stupid. That was not good at all. It wasn't entertaining. It wasn't fun. Like, if it was actually a fun and entertaining type deal in the terms of comedy, I would have probably made it out to be a good segment. But it wasn't even fun in the terms of comedy. It was just bad all around. It just was not any good. And that sums up a lot of this show to begin with. Of course, they continued on with the whole Mark Henry Bo Dallas deal as well. This time, having Mark Henry lose the count out. So they're continuing on with that. I think we're slowly seeing a full-on heel turn from Mark Henry, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. He's always worked better as a heel in my mind. So we'll see how much longer they hold off on that. They did the continuation with the Brie and Nikki Bella. It's basically Brie doing everything that Nikki could not pull off during that time, during the early portion of the time when she was being punished by the Authority. So that's where they're going with that. It's, it is what it is again. Same with the AJ and Paige storyline. It's kind of like Paige gets a new. They have Paige with a new partner with Alicia Fox, and AJ is just kind of wanting to go about everything on her own. It actually does more of a heel tactic this week by leaving her tag team partner. So it seems weird because you have AJ as the face, but she does the heel tactic in terms of leaving Emma behind. All in all, I did not think that it came off all that good. The things there were a couple high points of the show, and the things that I thought were high points were honestly still the deal with Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, and John Cena. I like how you have Seth Rollins coming out at the beginning of the show and basically bragging about how everybody wants to get to him and everything like that, which eventually does bring down John Cena, and then eventually it does bring in Dean Ambrose. This is where I like Dean Ambrose a lot. He comes in there, he comes into the shot, and actually just kind of stands there staring at John Cena. Like, he just comes up with these little random snippets to make it semi-funny, but still be completely serious in what he wants to do. So he's standing next to Seth Rollins and a little bit behind him, just kind of staring at John Cena, and then kind of looks at Seth and is like, "Oh, hey, you, punch." So that was one little aspect I liked about that. Of course, also making the match at the end of the show where you kind of have Cena and Dean Ambrose and odds, like you had seen it at the not at the beginning of the show, but kind of at the beginning, and then in the middle when they had the promo with the two of them, and then it looked like Ambrose was going to completely go away and go off to Coney Island, which he just comes back with what was probably the most ridiculous thing about it was the fact that he came with a hot dog vendor's cart. It made it made sense for the fact that he went to Coney Island, and that made sense why he had it, but it made absolutely no sense of how he gets it there in any way. It's not like he could get that back on the subway or anything like that. So that made no sense of why they went that route with the hot dog cart. But it kind of came off funny. But that was probably the worst portion of it. Other than that, it was pretty good. I liked, and then they made the match with Cena and Dean Ambrose, and then the winner gets Seth Rollins inside the Hell in a Cell. So they're definitely going with that route. It definitely looked that. It really looked that was the route they were going with the storyline from the past weeks, and it's good that they're going to stick to that guns. And we'll see who they actually decide to put inside the Hell in a Cell. I would figure at this juncture in the storyline, me personally, I would like to see Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins inside the Hell in a Cell. It makes sense with their storyline for a Hell in a Cell match. It's not necessarily there yet with Cena and Rollins. So hopefully they go with Ambrose going in there, but more than likely you will see Cena in there. At least that's my own personal opinion on that. The other fun segment of the show, well, actually, I'll go off and say there was another fun snippets of what's going on. And before I get to the last thing, the Wyatt family promos, how Bray Wyatt is setting free Luke Harper and Eric Rowan, and from the week before it seemed like it was only going to be Luke Harper, but now they have an Eric Rowan promo in there, and it seems like they'll probably keep them as a tag team. And hopefully this, like over these last couple of weeks with their promos, we've gotten more from their characters and like a little bit of backstory to their characters, and a lot more of it than we've had gotten the entire time they have been around. So I definitely like those vignettes that they put up there, and it will be interesting to see what route they go with it and how long that they're going to actually stick with it, and we'll see if Harper and Rowan by themselves can be just as good, or will they even have it where on their own but occasionally team up with Bray going into the future, or will Bray get new disciples coming in or something in that sense. So we'll see where they go with that. I like the vignettes, and it's easy to say that you like the vignettes because Bray Wyatt's really good on the microphone, and the vignettes that they've done in the past had always been really good as well. So these came off really well, and it was nice to get a little bit more of a backstory with Luke Harper and Eric Rowan about how they had become part with Bray Wyatt and everything like that. So this leads to the last deal that I felt was actually entertaining of the show. And it was just an entertaining segment in general. I don't necessarily think in the long run it's going to mean anything, but the Rusev and the surprise return of The Rock segment, well, it came off really well. I mean, it was very typical Rock, and if you know anything with me, like this is a double-edged sword. I was entertained by The Rock in this case, but are they... It's like I wanted this to have some kind of meaning to it, and if it has some meaning down the road to a potential match between the two of them somewhere down the line, that's great. But if they don't do anything with this down the road, what does this really mean? It really means nothing. It was just there for everyone's entertainment and did not serve any kind of storyline. Like what I would like to see them pull off, because obviously Rusev's not to the level of facing The Rock at this point. He needs to go up against other people before he can even have that potential match. Like you should see him destroy Big Show and a few other people, which eventually, like this is how I like to see it. You see him destroy Big Show and a few other people before Rock has to step in again, or something like that. I'm not necessarily saying a WrestleMania match, maybe a SummerSlam type match, or something in that way. But other than that, it was just your typical Rock stuff, and it could be just a one-off and one-nighter, or it could mean something down the road. We'll see if they do anything with it, or if it was just that case, if it was just a one-off. But overall, outside those little areas of the show, I would have to say Raw was a fairly crappy show. It did not come off all that well in any way, shape, or form. And it's, it just didn't really come off all that great. I mean, you have a few small areas in there. Obviously, and obviously by the crowd reaction as well, the Damien Mizdow characters getting over with them. It's just entertaining to watch Sandow mimic Miz's moves and mimic like him talking at the exact same time as the Miz during promos and everything like that. I find that fairly entertaining, and obviously it's something that they don't have anything for Damien Sandow, and they're just kind of giving him a whole bunch of crap, and he's kind of just running with it and making it fun and entertaining to watch. But other than that, this week's Raw was fairly lackluster, and hopefully they pick things up and, you know, start picking up with these storylines again, because they haven't been good over the last so many months, especially right after SummerSlam. See if they can pick things up and actually get some storylines getting better in there, and we'll see what happens with Raw in the upcoming weeks leading into Hell in a Cell. And that's my review this week for Monday Night Raw, and I thank you guys for watching.